Hi guys and welcome back to the Red Mist podcast with me Seshadri and welcome to Raw Reactions for the game between Liverpool and Wolverhampton Wanderers. We're here, about 23 minutes before kickoff and we're doing this Raw Reactions episode. So if you guys are unfamiliar with the format of Raw Reactions, we basically do reactions live and record them. So I do them at pre-game, at halftime and at full time and then compile them into one full episode. But here we are, Liverpool versus Wolves. If you guys did miss the preview episode between Liverpool and Wolves, do check that one out. It's the one right before this. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get right to it. Let's get right to the lineups. They have been announced, obviously. And we'll start with the visitors. So I predicted that they would go with a 3-4-3. It doesn't look like they are. It looks like they're going with a 4-3-3. So they've got Rui Patricio, they've got Nelson Semedo at right back, Willy Bolly, Conor Coady, Marcal. They've got Ruben Neves at the base of midfield with Joao Moutinho and Leandro Dendoncker playing with him, which is surprising because I predicted a Neves Dendoncker midfield with Roman Saiz probably playing in at centre back as well. But unfortunately, that's not the case, which means I get that lineup wrong. So they've gone with an extra midfielder there. To maybe add a little bit of creativity, especially with Joao Moutinho. Obviously, his free kicks are dangerous. His passes are quite good as well. He knows how to open up play. Might be a little bit on the older side of things, but he's definitely still got it in him. Up front, they've gone with the familiar front three, Adama Traore, Daniel Podence, and Neto. So, I predicted the front three as well yesterday, which, no surprises really, no Raul Jimenez. This was going to be their best front three, and this was their best chance to win. Liverpool, obviously, if you look at the lineup, the weakest area is going to be the defense. So having a three-pronged attack with Podence, Neto, and Traore works, and we might actually be able to see what Liverpool defense is made of, because this is not an easy front line to handle. Adama Traore is going to be physical. They may not be aerially very strong. I think that's the one thing that Raul Jimenez brings, which really nobody can replace. But Adama Traore, Daniel Podence, and Neto, they bring their own sort of different sort of threat to it, and we'll see how it goes. But physically, I think Adama Traore is going to be a handful. I'm really interested to see how Andy Robertson does against him on that side of the pitch. I'm just really interested. Liverpool, on the other hand, but going with Caoimhin Kelleher, he's making his Premier League debut. Obviously, Alisson is not fit. On the right-hand side, we've got Nico Williams, we've got Joel Matip in central defence alongside Fabinho and Andy Robertson at left back. So very familiar backline there, especially if you've been following Liverpool in the recent weeks. So very familiar backline there. Jordan Henderson, Curtis Jones, Gini, Wijnaldum as well. Very familiar midfield. Probably the best midfield. There were rumours that obviously Trent and Naby Keita would potentially be able to play. They aren't fit enough to play 90 minutes, but they are on the bench, and I'll get to the bench in a little bit, but they are on the bench and they could potentially still play a part in this game. Meanwhile, up front, we've obviously got the boys, Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah, and Sadio Mane. There were rumours, of course, that Mo Salah would be rested. That's not the case. I was hoping that it would not be the case, not because I didn't want Salah to get rest. It's just I just thought he would be better off playing this game and being rested for the Midtjylland game than otherwise. Also for selfish reasons, because Salah is my FPL captain. But Bobby Firmino, Mo Salah, and Sadio Mane are all there. And then obviously, on the bench, looking at the benches, we've got we'll start with Wolves. We've obviously got Roman Saiz, whom I expected to start this game at centre back, but obviously Wolves going 4 at the back. Although, to be fair, Neves can actually slot in between the two centre halves. Like, he's not incapable of playing that position. So Ruben Neves could potentially drop back as a third centre back if needed. Or maybe he starts there. Maybe he starts as a third centre back, sort of like a very deep lying playmaker. In fact, but yeah, Roman Saiz is on the bench. Fabio Silva, their record signing this season, he doesn't start. Obviously, I mentioned in my preview episode, he looked quite out of place when it came to. When it came to the Arsenal game, so he looked quite out of place there. Fabio Silva is on the bench. Their reserve goalkeeper is John Ruddy, Vitinha, Ryan Aitnouri, Max Kilman, and Kiana Hover, all are on the bench. Max Kilman obviously did a pretty good job early on this season when he was in the lineup, and he actually got a Man of the Match award one game, and that you know generated quite a hilarious interview between Jamie Carragher and Conor Coady, which is worth watching actually if you haven't watched. So Kilman, obviously, obviously I didn't expect him to start. I don't think he was ever going to start, but definitely something to watch out for. Keanu Hover is the other notable name because it is. He was at Liverpool for quite some time, went this summer to Wolves, and I don't know if he's going to play a part in this game. Maybe late on, if they're leading or something, he might actually play a part. But Keanu Hover is also on the bench. So that's one story. And speaking of players who've moved between the two clubs, Diogo Jota, a lot of people expected him to start this game, but he unfortunately is on the bench. I don't know if he's being rested for the game against Midtjylland, or I don't know if he's just being rested as a whole. I don't quite know what the deal is. I would honestly have started him. Maybe even alongside the front three. Maybe, go to a 4-2-3-1, maybe even alongside the front three, because I think he'll be motivated to play his former club. So I think for me personally, I might have started him. But obviously, Jurgen knows best. He sees these players day in and day out in training, and he knows best. So we'll just go with what he's done. And then, of course, you've got Kostas Tsimikas, obviously, is on the bench as well. Naby Keita and Trent Alexander-Arnold, we mentioned. It looks like they've passed their fitness test, but they're definitely not fit enough to play 90 minutes. So they are on the bench as well. Takumi Minamino, Nat Phillips, and Adrian round out the bench for the home side. Looking forward to a very, very good game. Looking forward to a very exciting game. I think both sides are going to be at their attacking best. I think we're going to keep a lot of the ball, but I wouldn't rule out spells of the game where Wolves do have quite a fair bit of the ball themselves. And they can do a little bit of attacking on their own. And they are quite good. Let's not, underestimate them. So they are quite good, and they do carry a threat. Yes, Raul Jimenez is their biggest threat, and obviously he's not there this game. Hopefully he's recovering well. And we do wish to see him back on the pitch very, very soon. But, he's not their he's not their be-all, end-all. I think there's a lot of players who can cause us trouble on their good days, and Adama Traore is one of them. Potenza and Neto, they've been in good goal-scoring form, so that's another person. So, it's just all about, I think, it's just all about making sure that we don't give Wolves too much to work with. And we need a vintage Liverpool performance, the sort of performance that we had against Arsenal, against Chelsea. I think that's the sort of performance we need. And, the December games are coming in, and we need to establish, a sort of run of form going into them that will help us, maintain a title challenge, if not actually run away with it. But, with Spurs winning earlier in the North London derby, I think the pressure is all on Liverpool. So we do need a win to go level with Tottenham. We'll see how it goes. In fact, I think we have a better goal difference than them. So if we do actually win, then we might actually be able to. We don't have a better goal difference than them. We have 5 and they have 14. I don't know what I was looking at, but unless we beat Wolves 10-0, I don't think we're gonna uproot Tottenham out of that top spot. But I don't know what I was looking at, but it is what it is. Anyway. But that brings me to the end of the pre-game segment of Raw Reactions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I will be back for halftime. Right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, it is halftime at Anfield, and Liverpool are leading against Wolverhampton Wanderers by 1-0, thanks to an error from Conor Coady. And, we'll talk about Conor Coady a little bit more for reasons that I think if you're watching the game, you will know. But we're leading thanks to an error from Conor Coady, which allowed Mo Salah to give us the lead in the 24th minute. Liverpool against Wolves in front of a crowd of 2,000. The first time Liverpool are playing as champions in front of crowds at Anfield. So it's a big game in that sense, obviously. So it was really nice to hear "You'll Never Walk Alone" before the start of the game and being actually sung instead of the fake sort of crowd noise that's inserted into most of these telecasts. But it was really nice to hear some of the chants as well. "Si Senor" was one that rang out throughout the field when it was being sung for Bobby Firmino. There was one for Gini Wijnaldum as well. and Sadio Mane. I mean, it was just really, really nice to have the presence of actual fans inside. Like when the thing is, when these telecasts were going on, I always said, it's like, yeah, I mean, they used to put the fake crowd noise, which they took from games before, and for me, it was always like, yeah, I mean, with the noise, it doesn't quite feel. I mean, look, obviously you're missing the fans, but it doesn't quite feel that bad. Like that was my take on it. But it's just when you look at this, when you look at the presence of actual fans, and it's not even a huge number. It's just 2,000 fans, and when you look at this, it's brilliant because the difference that they make, even 2,000 fans, is quite insane. I mean, the difference that you can feel even through television screens is quite insane. But yeah, there you go. I mean, Liverpool won, Wolves nil, in front of a crowd of 2,000. Let's talk about the game itself. I did not. I'll be honest. I did not expect Liverpool to have as much of the ball. Now, obviously, Wolves are a team that don't require the ball to sort of make their presence felt, and even in this game, they that was the case. But early on, I guess the biggest talking point for me, and I mean by early on, I mean very very early on. I think it was the yellow card that was given out to Nico Williams. I think it was just a yellow card that was there to set the tone from Craig Pawson, because it was a really soft foul. Yes, Nico got beaten quite handsomely by Petronetto on that run, but I felt like it was I think it was just a tone setter, yellow card. It was just like, okay, it's an early foul. Just letting you know, I'm going to give you a card if you keep doing that. But to be fair, I mean, fine, whatever. The game didn't have too many fouls as such, I don't think. But honestly, it was a brilliant. It was brilliant to watch. Liverpool were just unbelievable throughout the game. Wolves, though, did have the first major chance of the game, and Caoimhin Kelleher, what a replacement we have for Alisson, and how was Adrian being picked over this guy? That's my question, because he's so good. Like, he just looks comfortable with both feet. He looks very comfortable playing as a keeper, as a sweeper keeper as well. So I don't understand how Adrian was being picked over him. Was it just experience? Because clearly on ability, this guy is much better. The only thing that goes against him is experience. But he's looked at home so far in the Liverpool goal, and he pulled off a brilliant save from a chip from Daniel Podence, which was, I play football at an amateur level, and one of the things that before we go into a game, we always sort of aim for is, if the first person, if you have a shot at goal, just take it. It doesn't matter if it's a bad shot. It doesn't matter if it's a powerless shot. It doesn't matter. Just, if it's a goal, great. But if it's not, just, it doesn't matter, because I think that first shot is very important, and you need to establish that you are going to go for goal, and it can't be like a super wayward shot, obviously, and it does happen from time to time. That kind of offsets your momentum a little bit and kind of disrupts what you were intending to do. But we always, in our little group, we call that a tester shot. So we always say, take a tester, and that's kind of what it means. But Daniel Podence was sort of a tester in that sense. Caoimhin Kelleher, brilliant save on that one, unbelievable. And then obviously he comes up. He didn't have much to do after that, to be fair. I mean, he had that one cross which he sort of grabbed out of the air. Brilliant handling, by the way. That just shows you how good his handling is. And just took it straight out of the air. And apart from that, I don't think he's really had much to do. In terms of other players, let's start with Nico Williams. Offensively, he's looked really good. I think everybody offensively, and I'm not excluding anyone here. Normally, I'd say, everyone's had a good game, but this guy could do better. I mean, offensively, I thought everyone did well. Mo Salah, Nico Williams on the right-hand side, Jordan Henderson, Gini, Wijnaldum, Curtis Jones, everyone did really well. I really liked the fact that the person who played the number 6 role kept switching. It was Wijnaldum in the beginning, and then Henderson came in between. Curtis Jones played there for like a minute or two, and then obviously Henderson and Wijnaldum kept shifting between themselves. But I really liked that. I really like the dynamism that our midfield is showing today. There's a lot of switching of positions going on, especially between the people in front of the number 6, whether it's Curtis and Henderson or Curtis and Wijnaldum. I really, really like that. The front three were as fluid as ever. Andy Robertson's been brilliant on the left-hand side. I really thought Adama Traore would give us more issues, but so far Andy Robertson's kept him quite well. And to be fair, so is Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane has done a lot of defending himself, so it was brilliant. And Bobby Firmino has looked quite impressive this game because he's had, the commentator mentioned it as well. He's got his mojo back, and he's just he's got the skill. He's got his swag back, and he's doing really well for us as a centre forward today. Hasn't got the goal yet. I think he was a little bit unlucky, I want to say, because I think there was a time where I think he could have been through and just didn't. And there were a couple of times actually. There was one with Sadio Mane where I thought he should have shot, but instead he kind of went for a cross, and Mo Salah was just a little bit too far away from reaching it. Now we'll come to the controversial moment towards the end of the first half. So there was obviously the penalty incident. So ball goes, it's a corner for Wolves. They take the corner, we don't clear it properly. Ball sort of bouncing in the area. Sadio Mane goes for a bicycle clearance, and then Conor Coady beats him to the ball and just goes to ground. And my initial reaction when I saw it live was that's a penalty, because I thought Sadio Mane mistimed his bicycle kick, caught Conor Coady and just gave away a penalty. So for me, it was like, oh my God, not again. This can't be happening again. Like, we can't just concede on a stupid penalty like last week. And I know there's a lot of people disagreeing about last week. I addressed this at the time. So I'm just simply going to say, if you volley someone else's foot, I think that's a stone cold penalty. But this week, however, VAR did play its role again. And this time, it was for us. Surprise, surprise. And correctly so, because that was the most blatant dive that I have ever seen, and it was embarrassing. I mean, Conor Coady, I am honestly ashamed of you. He's been a great servant to Wolves. He's been a good leader for Wolves. He's played really well, even from a footballing perspective. Been an England international as well. But that was just embarrassing. That is not on. Like, I'm not having that. And, just going to ground without any contact, I'm not having that. Like last week, there were a lot of people saying Welbeck went down without, after an hour and this and that. And look, fair enough. But you have to remember, last week there was contact. Welbeck did get his foot volleyed. You can say it's a soft foul. You can say it's this foul, that foul. He just fell down too late, this, that, whatever you want, you can say. But the one thing I will say to you is there was contact inside the box. And to be fair, Robertson volleyed Welbeck's foot. That alone is enough to ensure a penalty. But today, there is no contact. Sadio Mane was smart, realized he wasn't going to get the ball, just pulled his leg out. And that was perfect. Now, the only thing I can't get my head around is why this guy doesn't get a yellow card. Why Conor Coady doesn't get a yellow card? Because he should. That's a dive. That's a simulation. That you should be getting a yellow card for that. So it makes no sense to me as to why Conor Coady escapes. And even the commentator said this. Essentially, as lawmakers, you're saying you can get away with it. And that's not right. Like, if defenders can be punished for minor fouls with yellow cards, then I think diving for a penalty is a serious enough offence to merit a definite yellow card punishment. Because what Nico Williams did at the start was nothing. It was just nothing. And he got a yellow for it. But you look at what this guy's done, what Conor Coady's done, and sometimes I just don't get English refereeing. I just don't get English refereeing, to be honest with you. But Liverpool versus Wolves, I am expecting a good second half performance from us to build on that first half. I think if we keep the energy levels up, we should be easily coming out with a win. And, the one thing I would want to say also is Wolves are a second half team. They've scored, there was an astonishing stat. They've scored 68% of their goals in the second half. So that was quite astonishing to me. So they are a second half team. this has been their modus operandi ever since Nuno Espirito Santo's taken over, and they've been in the Premier League. They're gonna play the second half really, really hard, and we've got to be ready for it. Kelleher, I think, will be tested more. I think if at the end of 90 minutes, if I can say that Kelleher has not been tested as much as I expected him to, and if I can say at the end of it that our defense held firm, held fort, I think I'd be really, really happy with that, because that means we've really essentially stopped Wolves from playing their game. Uh, Espirito Santo is obviously a very good person when it comes to adjustments, and to me, that's just, that's just going to be key in the second half, the way we deal with Wolves. But another thing I kind of sort of thought that Ruben Neves may be playing as a third centre back, but it is. They're basically just playing a 4-3-3, and there's really nothing else we can say aside from that. Really, there's nothing else we can say. But yeah, that's been Raw Reactions halftime, and I will see you back again for full time. Hopefully, with Liverpool having preserved a home record, getting another win, and getting 3 points, going second in the table behind Tottenham Hotspur. But I'll see you back at full time. Right, boys and girls, it is full time at Anfield, and the first game in front of a crowd of 2,000 is now over. Liverpool have officially played in front of fans as champions, and what a game it was! It was 4-0 at full time, 1-0 at half time. Unbelievable second half from Liverpool. I mean, what do I even say? Like, just the football that we played. I mean, to be fair though, Wolves did look a lot better in the second half, and they are more of a second half team. Like I said at halftime, they are the kind of team that sort of springs to life in the second half a little bit. But if we're being really, really honest, Wolves could have done a lot more damage, and that's just credit to Liverpool, because the way we defended, the way we set up, and the way we countered, it was just devastating. And the best example is obviously the second goal coming in. At some point after halftime, I don't quite remember exactly. 3-on-2, Gini Wijnaldum, what a finish, straight into the top corner there. And I remember the commentators saying that sometimes in a 3-on-2 situation, you sort of expected as the ball carrier to pass the ball, because there's always one player free, and it's hard to cover three people when you're just two. But sometimes you just have to take the initiative and just send it into the top corner. That's exactly what Gini Wijnaldum did, and it was amazing. And I was on Twitter just before recording this, and there was a tweet that sort of caught my eye. Gini Wijnaldum was, he saw so many Portuguese players, he thought he was playing for the Netherlands. And for those of you who don't know how Gini Wijnaldum plays for the Netherlands, plays as a number 10, very creative, on the front foot all the time, scores goals. And this was the Dutch version of Gini Wijnaldum that we got. But what a goal that is! Unbelievable. And there's really nothing else I can say. And that celebration was, I guess, a little bit of a tribute to Virgil. I'm not quite sure exactly what happened, but I guess it's something to do with Virgil, because he went straight towards where Virgil was sat. But brilliant goal, absolutely brilliant goal. The third goal, of course, another brilliant piece of play, in my opinion. It's a corner. Henderson takes it short. Mo Salah, what a cross that was. I mean, it was perfect, on the money. Joel Matip timed his run to perfection, and just that sheer passion that came out when he went and celebrated in front of the cop. I mean, it was just pure passion, and I really loved it. I really loved seeing Joel Matip score. I think he's deserved it. He's had his troubles with injuries. I think he deserves this goal. It's a little bit of a relief for him as well. But brilliant performance from Joel Matip. From Mo Salah, that was a brilliant cross and a goal as well. And I mean, in the end, it was just too good. Mo Salah was just too good. And not just Mo Salah, I think the entire team was too good. And, I'll get to that in a little bit, but we'll just discuss the final goal, the fourth goal. It was an own goal from Wolves. Trent AlexanderArnold, and I'll get to him as well in a little bit, but it was kind of an unfortunate unfortunate may not be the right word. It's just a mix-up, I guess, between the keeper and the defense, and it just ended up going into the back of the net. But Trent Alexander-Arnold with the cross. So I guess those who have him on FPL will get an assist for that. For me, what I will say is it was good to see Trent and Naby Keita also back on the field. They played only limited minutes, but it was just really good to see them back. And, it was just really nice to sort of say, okay, these guys are back. Liverpool, aside from obviously the long-term injuries to Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk, were close to getting our full squad back. And speaking of Virgil van Dijk, actually, he started his rehab as well. So it's going well. And, all things considered, if he's back by the Champions League knockout rounds, I think I'd say that's a successful recovery for him. So yeah, I mean, brilliant. It's just brilliant. There's nothing else I can say. It's just really, really good. And for me personally, I think the performance of this team, I'll get to who impressed me the most. Everyone did, to be fair. Everyone did really well. But the person that impressed me the most was Curtis Jones, because he looked in command in midfield. Like, he knew what he was doing. He was decisive. He was precise. He actually even coped well with some of the challenges that were put on him, some of the physicality that was imposed upon him. I think Curtis is definitely, I'm not going to say, he's the second coming of Steven Gerrard, obviously, but, they're different sorts of players. Curtis is not, he's not a box-to-box guy. He's more of an attacking threat. But I mean, for me, he was the most impressive player on the field. He looked like a Liverpool player, if you know what I mean. Like, he looked like he was in control. Like I said, everything he did had a purpose to it, and I think I really liked his performance. Unbelievable game from Curtis Jones. Didn't get an assist or a goal, unfortunately. That would have been, I guess, the icing on the cake, but at least you got a cake. So, Curtis Jones, most impressive player for me. That's not to say others didn't impress. I think if I was giving out player ratings for this game, I don't think anyone would get less than an 8. So definitely, I think, yeah. But I think I'd give Curtis probably a 9 or a 9.5. Despite the fact that obviously he wasn't involved in any of the goals. But that's that. Diogo Jota did come on for Bobby Firmino. He played against his former club, so there was that as well, and that was really cool to see. I wish he'd scored. Obviously, I think even Diogo probably wishes he scored, because it's always a special thing to score against your former club. But yeah, I mean, these things happen. Sometimes you don't actually score, and he would have actually been the 5th player in league history, I think, who had scored in his first 5 home games if he had scored today in the league. But obviously, that didn't transpire. But it's all about the team, and I think Diogo will be the first one to tell you that. And it doesn't matter if Diogo scored or not. It just matters that we got the win. And one player from Wolves that I do want to mention is Fabio Silva, because I thought when he came on as a substitute, I know he didn't score and he's still immature and there's still rough edges to his game, but I think he did really, really well. Some of his runs, some of his movements were well timed. Some of his runs were well timed. Some of what he did just felt very like he had that predatory instinct that probably marks out great strikers, which is why you can kind of justify the sort of fee that was paid for him. He has potential. The truth is, he needs to build upon it. He needs to, he's obviously Raul Jimenez's long-term replacement, and maybe in a year or two we might be seeing Fabio Silva start Premier League games regularly and maybe even be amongst the goals. So for me, I think he was quite impressive, as was Ryan Aït-Nouri, who also came on as a substitute. I thought he did really well at left wing back after Wolves had shifted to their usual sort of 3 at the back formation. So I thought he did really well at left wing back as well. Ryan Aït-Nouri, another youngster, French guy. I think he's got loads of potential. And I think, if Wolves keep investing in youngsters, I think they will eventually, come good. And I think long term, this is an exciting club to watch. This is a club that I think a lot of people will keep an eye on this. Will keep an eye on how Wolves play. But yeah, for me, I thought defensively we were really good. I thought offensively we were really good. And shout out to Caoimhin Kelleher. First Premier League start, gets a first Premier League clean sheet as well. The only baffling thing to me is why he was on the bench for so long if he's this good. And I know it's 2 games and I know the sample size is very, very less, but it's a promising start. And, if 10 games from now, if I'm not saying he's regressed to the mean, then I think that's a successful start for him. But obviously, I don't know if he'll get 10 games, depending on how severe Alisson's injury is. Um, but yeah, I mean, I've mentioned this in the past, and with regard to sort of Kelleher being inserted into the starting lineup now, Jurgen Klopp is always reluctant to change teams, no matter how bad they're performing. He kind of tends to stick to his players, and I think players appreciate that sort of loyalty. But sometimes, as a manager, I feel like you have to be a little bit more objective and see performances. And Adrian clearly was not good enough for Liverpool. Yes, he helped us win the league title last year, but his performances have not been great. He gifted the win to Atletico Madrid. He's had a fair few howlers now and then, and every time he's in goal, like it's not you as a Liverpool fan, you don't quite get the confidence which Kelleher has actually given in his first two games, and he's comfortable with both feet, which is amazing, um, which is really good as well. So he's comfortable with both feet. Kelleher is, and that helps a lot when you're playing out from the back. So you can always sort of pass back to your keeper, and even if he's under pressure, and even if he has to clear it first time, it's not going to be a wayward clearance because he is good with both feet as well. That save from Daniel Podence, I think, made a lot of difference because the game was still 0-0, and if Wolves get that first goal, then the complexion of the game changes at that point. If we're down 1-0, so for me, I thought that was crucial. Defensively, Fabinho was his imperious self. Offensively, really, really good as well. Fabinho was whenever he did go forward, which wasn't much, obviously. He's a centre back, but yeah. And then of course you have Andy Robertson just doing his Andy Robertson thing. It's just a standard Andy Robertson game now to see him run up and down the left flank, defensively harrying people and offensively contributing. And it's just become a thing. It's just become a norm at this point. And I would say he had Adama Traore in his pocket. I think Traore, we saw in the second half, he shifted out to our right hand side, which is where Nico Williams was playing, and it made sense because one, you had a winger, one of the toughest wingers to face, in my opinion, in the Premier League. You had him going up against a defender who was on a yellow card, so that was one. And the other thing is, Adama, I think, would have been more of a threat, sort of cutting in and being capable of shooting. And Nico is prone to sort of those, I guess, silly fouls. I think we can call it that. Fouls that, maybe with experience he will tend to avoid. So it was a good move putting Adama Traore there, but the fact that he had to shift to that side on the second half, at the start of the second half, just tells you how good Andy Robertson was, because Adama was finding it really hard to get going against Robbo. So yeah, for me, Robbo had another impressive game, an easy 8.59 game this is out of 10. And then, of course, you have the midfield. And I said, Curtis Jones was my most impressive midfielder. Gini Wijnaldum got the goal. Jordan Henderson was his usual self. Just really, there's not much to say. I mean, all of them were impressive. And the front line was the front line. I could keep raving on about these guys, but I think their performance speaks for itself. I don't even need to say much, and how good they were. And obviously, the one thing I do want to address, Conor Coady, I have a lot of respect for the guy, but what he tried to do today was not on. Like it just reflects badly on him. And I know it's the heat of the moment, and you do whatever you can to make it even, but it's the era of the VAR. I think rather than sort of expecting contact and going down, I think it's better if you get contact and go down. Like, even if it's a soft penalty, at least you can justify it by saying there's contact, and VAR can justify it by saying it's contact. But why do you go down when there's no contact? I just don't get it. You're losing a goal scoring chance for your team because the ball was in our area at that point. You're losing the chance to sort of say, okay, we can score, or maybe something can be fashioned out of this play. You're losing that. And you're risking a yellow card. Obviously, he got away with it yesterday, but you're risking a yellow card for your own self. And I just don't understand. I think it was just a proper brain fade moment from Conor Coady, and we'll excuse that. this time. And I know a lot of people who are maybe fans of other clubs listening to this will say, it's rich coming from you as a Liverpool fan, because given how, Mo Salah goes down at the slightest contact, or Mo Salah dives, or this and that. Look, all I'll say is this. I think if you're an attacking player, or if you're on the attack, even if you're not an attacking player, if you feel contact and you go down, fair enough, you have a case. May not be a great case, maybe a soft penalty, maybe the referee decides not to give it, but you do have a case. But if you go down without any contact, there's just no explanation for that. There's absolutely none whatsoever. So for me, I think what Conor Coady did, it's just not on. And the fact that he got away without a yellow card, I think is disgraceful, because I think it's just bad refereeing, because you're saying it's okay. You're telling people they can get away with it. And next week, I wouldn't be surprised if someone tries a dive, pulls it off, gets, VAR checked, and escapes without a yellow card, because this is set a precedent for people who dive, and that's not a good thing. That's not something that you want to be setting precedents for. But overall thoughts on the game, I thought we did amazingly. I thought we were I thought we were just really in control all throughout the game. We weren't, at no point did we look vulnerable, and I think that's the biggest success that this game. That's the biggest lesson that we need to take out of this game, because we didn't look vulnerable at any point. And even when Wolves attacked, I felt secure, because I thought our defense was doing well. I thought Kelleher was impressive as well. So for me, I just think it was not a performance where you worried, even though maybe Wolves might actually score or something. You never worried, even though Wolves were on the attack a fair few times. It was one of those confident performances. But I think fair play to Wolves. They gave us a good game for large parts, and I just thought we were the better team, and the better team won, and by a margin that was quite handy. But second in the table as of this point. Tottenham, of course, winning their North London derby against Arsenal, absolutely bossed it. Mourinho got his strategy completely right, which will make for an exciting game when Tottenham come to Anfield on the 17th of December. So for me, that game it's going to be fun to watch, because from a tactical standpoint, it involves a side that loves to go all out in Liverpool, and it involves a side that loves to sit back and hit on the counter in Tottenham, just like they did today against Arsenal. You look at the possession stats for that game, it's 31% to Tottenham and 69% to Arsenal, and yet, and there's a lot of issues with Arsenal, don't get me wrong. It's not like Tottenham, it's not like Arsenal were not to blame for this. But it is a Mourinho masterclass, and Mourinho against Jurgen Klopp on the 17th is going to be absolutely something to watch. I think both sides will be up for it, and I really think that game is going to be quite something to watch. But we do have a game before that. We do have two games before that, actually. We have a Champions League game against Midtjylland. I don't expect most of the starters to play, if at all. And I think Trent will play. I think Naby will play, because they need to build up their match fitness. I think the next two games between Liverpool and Midtjylland and Liverpool and Fulham are going to be key to that. And I think they'll play to build up match fitness, obviously. And I do think guys like Origi, Minamino, Jota, all these guys will start. Maybe a couple of youngsters as well. Wouldn't be surprised if someone like Jake Kane gets a start, Leighton Clarkson, all these guys. But that's just my thoughts on it, and more on that, in the build-up to Midtjylland, in the build-up to the Fulham game as well. But that brings me to the end of today's episode for raw reactions for the game between Liverpool and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for all the support on the podcast. Do follow us on Spotify, Amazon Music, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. 3 points in the bag, second in the table. Couldn't ask for more. Right, that brings me to the end, and hopefully you guys stay safe, stay secure, take all precautions. COVID is still there, but have a good week, have a great weekend, have a great week. The weekend's pretty much over. Have a great week, and I will see you on the other side for the Midtjylland game.